Hello everyone, I'm Zuzka, Craftsy Penguin, and today I would like to share with you a tutorial to the zigzag crochet top, which I recently finished. This is the finished object, and we will look at it in detail later. It is made of 2 panels and then joined at shoulders and at sides, which joining will be addressed in a separate video. In this one we will look at the panels that are in front and in back. They are just rectangular panels but with a special pattern, and this pattern has quite a story to it, in my case at least. I found it at Ravelry a while ago and I saved it to my library because I liked it a lot. And then when I came back to it, I realized there is no link to the actual pattern. There were just some finished objects from other creators that made this top or used the pattern, but somehow there was nothing more. And I looked through the notes and found nothing, basically. There was a link or a reference to a Japanese magazine from which it should be taken from, but the pattern was nowhere to be found. So that was quite a tough luck. And as I saw I couldn't make it at the point, I just forgot about it for a time. But then my mom wanted some summer top made by me, and we looked through my library and she saw this and she immediately needed this one. So I had to find a way to make it. So with no other sources available, I took a plunge into the murky waters of Pinterest. And this time, the long clicking and clicking and clicking through Pinterest finally gave me something. There were diagrams. I usually don't work well with diagrams. Plus, those were diagrams from a Japanese magazine, so the instructions were in Japanese. I don't speak Japanese, so that got really complicated. But then even more clicking got me to a video in Russian and then to another video in Spanish that explained a trick that is very important to this pattern. So as I had a year or two of Spanish and I'm a Slav, I was able to understand both of these videos at least a bit, and I saw how it's made, but I never found a video that would be in English or in Czech, my native language. So I thought, well, it will be me, I will make it. So this is the video. We will look at the way the pattern asks you to make this top or these panels for the top. Also at the ways that I changed the pattern, because there were some elements of it that I didn't really like. So that's the thing that we are trying to accomplish today. One thing I need to address is the fact that the diagrams that can be found at Pinterest are really poor quality. So I will link them in the description, the best ones I can find, but be aware that they are not great, they are scans and they are not high resolution. I will also try to put parts of the diagram on screen in digital form at the points where we need them in making the pattern, with the row accentuated in color or some other form that I will be able to edit into the video. While I was filming making this top, I already had one panel finished, so you will be following me while making the other panel. And I had a small mishap with actually making the second one, so I had part of it done when I started filming the second panel, so I remade it from start. So you'll be able to see all of that. You will be able to see that I used variegated yarn for this pattern, and I think it's a perfect pattern for variegated yarn actually. It helps to accentuate the diagonal character of the pattern. As you can see here, it just helps you to see how the pattern progresses through the top. But it also works with solids. It also works with alternating rows of solids. I tried that. It wasn't the effect that I was going for, but it didn't look bad. It was great. So you can also try that. I used cotton yarn and a 3mm hook. I will address that further in the video. The main trick of the pattern is, of course, that it progresses diagonally from one corner to the other, which is a thing that is, in the end, quite easily accomplished, but there are a few magic tricks that you need to know, and I will tell you all about that in the tutorial. One thing I have to warn you about is the fact that I had some focus issues while filming the making of the second panel. But I'm explaining everything along the way. I think there is no issue following the pattern while I work on it. There are parts that are real time of me crocheting, and I'm quite a slow crocheter, so I guess you will be absolutely comfortable following it. There are parts that are sped up because I was repeating the rows that I already made. I was repeating the same motions, so those are sped up. I will try to find music to accompany those, and you can skip those or you can enjoy just watching me making the top. And now you can grab your hook, grab your yarn, and let's go together and follow this pattern and make the top. This is what the finished panel of the top looks like, the first panel. I need to make the second one, and I want to take you along with me. I already started. This is the part that I have done already, but I will try to start another one and show you how it's made. I'm using elusive batik yarn. It's cotton yarn, it's 100 grams in the ball, 360 meters. These used to be made in half the size, 50-gram balls, but now the newer ones are 100 grams. And I used about 85 grams for the first panel. So not a whole ball of yarn for one panel. I think the remainder are going to be used for joining the shoulders, the sides, and maybe lengthening a bit the hem of the top. I'm using 3mm hook for this, and of course the diagram, which I'm gonna put on screen in digital form and try to highlight the parts that we are working on while I'm explaining. But you see I have the paper part here so that I can follow that. I also have it open on a tab on my browser. So I will take another bit of yarn and I will show you how to start this pattern. To start, the pattern asks for 43 chains as the base and then 4 chains as a start of the first row. So that's 47 chains in total. Let's make those and I will see you in a bit. There we go. I have 47 chains done. Let's see how the first row is made. So the first 4 chains are what is going to make the first corner, and we are counting to the 7th chain from the hook to make our first double crochet. 2, 4, 6, 7. Into this chain I'm making 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next one. 1, 2. Then we need to make 2 chains, skip 2 chains on the base, and then make a double crochet in the next one. And already this is what we are going to see repeated in every row: a corner space of 4 chains, then a group of 3 double crochets, then a 2 chain space over 2 chains, and then starting a group of 14 double crochets here in the first row. So we have the first double crochet of that group, and we are going to make 13 more, 1 into each chain. That's 14 double crochets. Now we are making the corner. In each row from now on, the corner is going to be made of 4 stitches that we are going to skip. In this case, in the first row, it's 5 chains that we are skipping. So we need to skip 5 chains, and into the 6th make another double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So into this one we are going to make a double crochet, which is again first one of a group of 14 double crochets, 1 into each chain. So let's make 13 more, and I will see you then. That's 14 double crochets. Next we need to make the chain 2 space over 2 chains. So 1, 2 chains, skip 2, then 2 double crochets into the third one. One, 2, and 1 double crochet into the last chain. The row is still not complete. We need to make the corner of the 4 chains, so make 4 chains and 1 double crochet into that last chain, and you will have a corner. So that's the first row done. we have the chain 4 corners at both ends. We have the group of 3 double crochets that we are going to see repeating in every row. And we can start our second row. For that, start whichever way you are usually starting rows of double crochets. I'm starting with chain 3, turn, and make 3 double crochets into that corner chain space. So that's starting chains, 3 double crochets, then chain 4, that's the new corner, and 3 double crochets into the same corner chain space, which is the sequence that's gonna repeat in every row, making the corner every time like this. 3 double crochets, 4 chains, 3 double crochets, all into the same chain space. Then we need to make chain 2, skip the 3 double crochets from the row below, and make 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space that follows. Two double crochets done. Now chain 1, skip 1 double crochet, and into the next one make a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. One more time, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. We are getting to the inner corner, and as I said, in each row we are gonna skip 4 stitches in the corner. So that's 2 double crochets on this side and 2 double crochets on this side, and we are making another double crochet into the 3rd double crochet on this side. So that is 1, 2, 3rd double crochet, make a double crochet into that one. So that is the corner, and we are continuing with the chain spaces. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. And finally, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the chain 2 space, and one more double crochet into the chain 2 space. then chain 2, skip the group of 3 double crochets, and we are going to make another corner of 3 double crochets into the chain 4 space. Three, chain 4, and 3 double crochets into the same chain space. And that's second row done. So you can see the corners of 3 double crochets and chain 4 space on both ends, the corner which skips 4 stitches in here in the center, and we can continue with the third row. Now you can see on the pattern that there are always 2 rows of the chain spaces alternating with 2 rows of solid block of 14 double crochets. So now I made the second row. The third row is also the chain space one. The fourth and the fifth are the solid double crochet group rows. The sixth and the seventh are the chain 1 space again. Eighth and ninth are again the group of 14 double crochets, and then row 10 is the chain 1 space row, and that's the row where it gets interesting, where the magic trick of this pattern is going to be revealed. But I will continue making this and explaining for at least 2 more rows, and then we will skip to the time lapse and then row 10, and then adding more valleys and more corners to this pattern. Let's go. So for row 3 we are starting with our chain 3, or whichever version you prefer, then making 2 more chains and going directly into the corner. 3 double crochets into the corner space, chain 4, and 3 double crochets into the chain space. So we made a new corner space, 3 double crochets, chain 4, 3 double crochets, all into the corner space of the row below. Then 2 chains to skip the group of 3, and 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the second double crochet of the group, chain 1, double crochet into the double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one. I think you get the idea. I'm going to continue making this row, but first we are getting to the corner. So just to be sure, you need to skip 4 stitches. In this case it's chain 1, double crochet, and chain 1, and you are making double crochet directly into the second double crochet of this side, and continuing with the chain 1 spaces, chain 1, double crochet, and so on until we get to the corner again. Don't forget to make the last chain space over this group of 2, and then 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. Now, skipping the group of the 3 double crochets, when you see those, just make the 2 chains, skip the 3 double crochets, and continue to make the corner. As we already know, that's 3 double crochets, chain 4, and 3 double crochets into the chain 4 space. So 3 double crochets, 2, 3, chain 4, and 3 double crochets into the same space. Chain 2 to skip this group of 3 double crochets, and final double crochet into the starting chain of the previous row. And that is row 3 completed. As you can see, we have the corners again of 3 double crochets, chain 4 space, 3 double crochets, both ends, and the inner corner that skips 4 chains. Next row is going to be the one with the solid 14 double crochet group on each side, and the part that fits into the shorter part of the row 3. Of course, as the pattern grows, this part is getting bigger. You can see it on the finished, well, not finished, but already bigger piece here. The group here grows. As you can see, in this row there is already 10 of them done. So let's continue. Let's start row 4. Starting chains, turn, then we need 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, chain 2 to skip the group of 3 double crochets, and making the corner of 3 double crochets, chain 4, and 3 double crochets into the corner chain 4 space, as we already know. Chain 2, skip the group of 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. And in these solid block rows, these 2 double crochets count into the 14 double crochets that we need to make to reach the corner. So that's 2. We are gonna place 1 into each of these 2 double crochets, and then 1 into each chain 1 space and 1 into each double crochet, ending 2 stitches before the corner. So 1 double crochet into each of the stitches in the row, except the last 2 before the corner. That should be 14 double crochets now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We are making the inner corner now. So skipping 4 stitches, 1 chain, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet and 1 chain, making a double crochet into the next one. Then completing the 14 double crochets, again putting 1 double crochet into each chain 1 space and 1 double crochet into each double crochet, 1 into each of these 2 double crochets and 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. That's 14 double crochets done on this side, row 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Now chain 2, skip 3 double crochets and make a corner of 3 double crochets, 4 chains and 3 double crochets into the chain space of 4 chains. That's the corner done. Chain 2, skip 3 double crochets, two double crochets into the corner, into the end chain space, and one more to end the row. So we have 3 double crochets at start, 3 double crochets at the end. And that's row 4 done. Let's make row 5. Starting chain, double crochet into each of the previous ones, that makes for 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip 3 double crochets, and corner of 3 double crochets, chain 4 and 3 double crochets into the corner chain 4 space. Chain 4, 3 double crochets. That's the corner done. Chain 2, skip 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, and those are again the first 2 of the 14 double crochets in this part of the row. So continue until there is 14. You should stop 2 stitches before the corner. Two stitches before the corner, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 double crochets. Now skipping 4 stitches, that's 2 on this side, 2 on this side, into the third one on the opposite side, making a double crochet. And making 13 more of the double crochets until we get to the 2 double crochets into this chain 2 space. Fourteen double crochets on this side, chain 2, skip 3 double crochets, and we will make the corner again of 3 double crochets, chain 4 and 3 double crochets, all into the same corner chain 4 space. 3 double crochets, chain 4, 3 double crochets, chain 2, skip 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, and 1 double crochet into each stitch of the previous row, including 1 into the starting chain, here we go. That's row 5, all done. Now I will continue crocheting this piece up until row 10. You can see every row the side part of the rows grow, so you will make more and more stitches on these sides. And the next row is the one with the chain 1 spaces. The row after that also chain 1 spaces, then 2 rows of the solid blocks of double crochets, and then we will get to row 10, which has the chain 1 spaces again. And when the row 10 is finished, I will meet you and explain how to get the pattern and the piece even bigger and make the whole rectangle. See you there? So here we are after row 10. This is how our piece should look like. And I used some colors on the scheme to show you where the magic tricks happen. The first part of the magic trick is adding this row of chains to the existing piece so that we can make the 11th row have one more spike, one more valley, and one more valley, and one more spike at the other end. This is where the other part of the magic trick happens. As much as I dislike that, and you might dislike that too, we are actually adding a small chain made of a separate part of yarn, a separate strand. But we'll do that when we get there. For now, the pattern asks for 23 chains added to the corner of the 10th row, and then 4 chains to start row 11. So let's make 27 chains, and then we are going to start row 11. That's 27 chains on my hook. Now, 4 of these from the hook are actually the starting 4 chains of row 11. So we are skipping those, and then we are skipping 2 chains and into the 7th one, just the same way as we were starting the whole piece. We are going to make a double crochet into that 7th chain. Then 2 double crochets into the next one. Now what is different from the starting chain in the corner is that row 11 is actually the chain 1 space row. So now we do 2 chains, skip 2 chains, make 1 double crochet into the next one, second double crochet into next one again, and then we are starting the chain 1 space sequence. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next chain, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Now there is 3 chains remaining. That's part of our corner, and we are making the next double crochet into that double crochet after the first chain space from the row below. So that's 3 chains on this side, turning chain, turning double crochet, chain 1, all that gets skipped, and you make a double crochet into that second double crochet from the corner. So this is how the piece looks now, and we are continuing this row with the chain spaces. So now, as before, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into double crochet, chain 1, skip chain space, double crochet into double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip a double crochet, and make 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. So this is the start of row 11. I will continue the row and I will meet you at the end of the row, and we'll be adding more chains to make our rectangle bigger. So this is what my piece looks like now. Row 11 is not yet done. You can see I stopped before the end of row 10, and this is where I need to add chains to make another valley and another corner, in fact, and continue row 11 as the pattern asks me to do. So as you can see, the green part here is 20 chains, which we are going to use a separate piece of yarn to add to our panel. So let's do that. I'm going to use the other end of the ball. I will use this stitch marker to keep this from unraveling, and into the turning chain of the row below I'm adding my yarn. Now I'm holding the end with my finger and I'm making 20 chains. Let's do that. So that's 20 chains added. You can finish this end later or make a knot around the chain there, and you can snip this piece of yarn and pull it through the last chain there. So let's do that. Snip. So be careful to make another chain effectively in there so that there is still 20 chains remaining. 3, 6, 9, 10. 3, 6, 9, 10. 20 chains there. And now I can return into here, remove the stitch marker, grab it again with my hook, and make the corner as we are by now used to, skipping 2 chains here, making a double crochet into the third one, and continuing the chain 1 space row, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, and we need to count our double crochets. The row is a bit wonky there, but we need to have 2, 4, 6 double crochets and chain 1s, 2, 4, 6. So chain 1 now, double crochet into the next one, and again a double crochet into the next one. That's our group of 2 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2 chains, 2 double crochets into next one, 2, 1 double crochet into the last one. But the row is still not done. We need to make the corner, as we already know. So chain 4 and double crochet into the final chain 1. Now row 11 is complete. So this is how the piece looks after row 11. We have the part with the chains added directly from row 10 and row 11 started, and we have the part where we added 20 chains from a separate piece of yarn here and worked into that with the end of row 11. I will now continue making the same pattern, alternating the chain 1 space rows and the solid rows, using these new valleys and corners that we made, making a whole rectangular panel of this top. You can make it any size you want. You can add the chains after every 10 rows to make it wider. For making it higher, it asks you to do a different kind of pattern here. I didn't do that. I added another 20 chains of a separate piece of yarn after next 10 rows to make it the size that I wanted. You can add these chains to make it bigger however many times you need to accomplish the size that you want. On my finished panel, you can see that I added the 23 plus 4 chains here and again here, and that I added that piece of yarn with 20 chains first time here and then second time over here to make it the size that I needed. Mine is approximately 55 by 55 centimeters. It's rectangular, but you can also add part of the chains to make different size difference, and continue the pattern. The only thing you need to follow is if you, for example, can we have focus please? If you, for example, want to cut the pattern here, you can make yourself a mental line there, or just draw on the paper pattern where you're cutting the pattern, and then follow what is in there. There are some tweaks that you might need to do. I had to tweak mine, and I can show you those tweaks when I get there. For now, I'm going to continue making my panel, and I will meet you later to show you how to do the straight lines on the opposite sides.
So here is where the magic happens again. I already made the 23 plus 4 chains to add to my pattern, to my panel on this side, on the bottom. And I even already made that 20 chains on the other side with the separate piece of yarn. So that's all ready to make row 21 for me. And in the pattern you can see that it only asks you to make 21 chains here and cut the pattern along this line. But for my measurements I need to make the full 23 plus 4 addition. So I made that, and I'm going to follow the pattern as it was already, but with more corners. So the same repeat of the pattern happens actually after the first chain, after the start. So I made myself a little line here to see where my pattern should cut off on the edge. Now on the first panel, if I put it here now, you can see rotate it. Yeah. I added the 23 plus 4 chains here, made the corner, made the 21st row, and then in the next row I made the 3 double crochets into the corner space and just turned with new chains for row 23 and went back there. And this way I continued the edge so that every row was cut exactly on that line. You can see it got a bit bumpy here, but then the pattern asks you to actually cut your yarn at end of certain rows and add it elsewhere where it continues. I didn't do that. I don't like that. But when I got to such a point where it seemed like there is only half of the row that I needed, there was not space enough for another row of double crochets, I simply made a row of single crochets to get to the point where I needed to be. So you can see in this case I came from above with a solid row of double crochets, turned and made a solid row of single crochets all up to the point where I could continue with the corner. It was really only for the last part, for this ending corner. Now on the other side you can see that I added the 20 chains and again only made one more row to sit on the corner there, and then cut the pattern in the same way along the line that corresponded to it, that would be here. So you can use the pattern, you can draw in the line where your edge happens so that you can follow the pattern. Also at this point I'm sure you're really familiar with the pattern already, so you can just go and fudge it your way. Just figure it out and make the full rectangle. As you can see, it then very quickly grows into the corner, and by this time you are not halfway there, but you are really close, and it really grows so quickly. So I think you will very soon be there. Just be careful. Your brain already knows the pattern, 2 solid rows, 2 rows of the chain 1 spaces, and it all seems so simple. And yet, mistakes will happen, as you can see happened to me. it's alright. You can just unravel it and continue. So, have a great time, continue with your pattern, continue making the panel as big or as small as you need it, and I will see you at the end when I have both of my panels ready and maybe make a separate video with connecting them both together.
Hello again! So if you followed with me through the whole tutorial and worked separately on your top, you should now have the two panels finished and ready to be joined together to create the garment that you need. Or maybe you just made it into a blanket, who knows. But if you want to join the two panels into a top, I will have a separate video for that. I will work on it. It needs some editing as well. This was a great job for me to edit this tutorial, as you can maybe imagine. But I'm glad you stayed with me, I'm glad you followed with me, and I hope you enjoyed making this pattern. I will be glad if you leave me a comment, if you like the video, if you subscribe to the channel maybe. You can also visit my social medias, which are going to be linked in the description, where the diagram is also to be found. And you can also visit my Ko-fi and leave me a tip there. Or you can buy something from the shop that I will be setting up over there. And for now, I hope you had fun crocheting, you had fun crafting, and I hope you'll enjoy the colors. Goodbye!